Hello, yes. Welcome back to the Lil RES podcast, also known as the return of the Everyday Steward podcast, who is Richard. Sorry, I want to redo that. Or I guess, all right, we'll just. We've never have we. We've
No,
redone the intro before, have we?
I don't think
I don't
so.
think we ever. Okay, maybe we just roll with it. That's the intro.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Return of the Everyday Steward.
Return of
Every
the
week
Everyday
Steward.
Steward. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
Happy to be back.
It is 68 degrees outside, which is that's room temperature, but it's raining. So it's overcast, a little cloudy, but I'm not outside, so who cares? Here's the hat of the day. This is our very first repeat. It's our Hello Kitty X Pac-Man hat. This was featured just a month ago. Here's the gnocchi of the day. It's gnocchi in her cat tower right there. She was right there, but then a fly came out and she was chasing it around the house. It's bug season in Chicago. Wait, okay, where you are, I guess we have never officially stated where you are, but on the East Coast, is there bug
Yeah.
season? Like indoor
Yeah. We
bug
get
season?
we get cicadas every year, and every 7 years we get them in like droves because that's when they all like do the dirty and then all like die and they leave their carcasses and
Dude,
shells
I
everywhere. It's
I
like
hate when they
it's so
oh, dude,
gross.
they're not dying, of course. It's their shells. They're shedding their shells. I thought
Yeah.
they would just
Oh,
come
maybe
and
that's what it
die.
is. Yeah, multi. I don't know what the deal is, but I have many memories growing up on the East Coast of like seeing little dead bugs everywhere because they have very crunchy like carcasses. It's like
I do
it's
not
very
I
impressive.
do not like. Dude, they get all over the every single time the cicadas come through Chicago. They're always on like the doormat and stuff. I guess people accidentally track them in. It's like they're always in the
Mm,
immediate vicinity of like where I enter the building. But okay, not to linger on this, but do you have indoor bug season? Do the bugs start showing up indoors? Because they do here.
so I never open my windows and I'm not on the first floor. So I think I'm good. I haven't seen it, but I do know that like as the weather gets like as it gets like we have a lot of random like flash floods and rain and
Hmm,
stuff.
hmm.
And I'm assuming that when people like leave their windows open and like when it's bright outside, all the insects come in, like they're attracted.
I see. Yeah, in Chicago, because I'm like not on the first floor, but around this time of the year, you just start seeing bugs in your house. Like one of them that's really common is millipedes. There's always millipedes inside. And I know it's not just a me thing because I've seen it in other people's homes around this time. And I was talking to somebody actually the other day about it. And they're like, "Yeah, here like the bugs just are part of your home during during certain times of the year." I'm sure if you're in like a nice enough house or something, maybe it's not a thing, but my building's old. I guess there's probably some like millipede dormant colony in the walls or something.
Hmm.
Anyways, I was just curious. How are you doing today, Richard?
I'm good. Wait, okay. One last bug thing is
Yeah.
it is because like we get a lot of mosquitoes out here, which is really annoying. And
Hmm.
then I know Chicago has like a river that runs through it. Um, and then also oh my gosh. Do you guys get lightning bugs?
Lightning? Yes, we do. The what are they? Fireflies. Yeah, yeah, we get the fireflies.
Fireflies.
I think
Yeah.
lightning bugs is
Okay.
also valid.
Yeah, those are coming out like for us, I think in like a month, and I'm very excited.
Mm.
Those are really
Those
nice.
are when I moved here and then I saw them for the first time. I was like, "Oh, that's pretty hard." Like they just make little lights and I'm sure they look gross, but they only come out at night. So it just adds like whimsy to the air. You're like, "Oh,
Yeah, it
little
does.
flashes of light because of reasons." I don't know what causes it,
Yeah.
but
Oh, okay. I think that is for mating. They like to attract mates and stuff
oh,
like
okay,
that.
that would make sense.
Yeah.
Um,
I was talking to my dad about fireflies and lightning bugs, whatever. And as a kid, I definitely remember like capturing them in jars and like having like a nightlight, which I thought was like
Wow.
which is like cool, I guess. But thinking back, I'm like, oh, poor bugs. Like, I guess. But when you're a kid, you're like,
I
you
think
don't
it's
really get
okay.
it.
I did
Yeah,
shit to bugs when I was a kid.
yeah, of course. But my dad, he was like, yeah, as a kid, we would crush them up and put the phosphorus like on our like eyes, and we'd have like glow up faces. And I
That's
was
pretty
like,
cool,
oh,
actually.
that's crazy though. Like I'm like, that's so metal. Like
Yeah.
that's like I don't know.
Oh
It
my
reminded
gosh.
me of that video you sent me about the frog and when is it acceptable to
Wait, which
throw the
frog video?
frog?
Remind me, remind me.
It was from the series we like. The It's not College Humor. It's the guys from oh my gosh.
Dropout?
Friday
Oh, Friday
Beers or
Beers.
whatever.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
They have
yeah,
that
yeah.
little
The
bit
the
about the
frog
frog.
video. Yes, I remember. It's it's a TikTok bit for the viewers. It's it's like they're on a Cody Ko's podcast and they're like, "All right, Cody, we're going to like role play some like questions that kids would ask their parents." The first one's like normal, and the second one is like I'll paraphrase because I won't be able to deliver them as well as them, but it's like, "Hey dad, I was at recess today and I killed a frog and all the boys cheered. Why was there a social reward for killing the frog?" But then it like it keeps going and gets increasingly unhinged. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Why was there a
So
social
it's like
reward for
we're
crushing the fireflies?
yeah. Yeah, like keeping them in the jar is okay, but crushing them on like where do you draw the line? Anyways, I'm good. I just recently got back from international travels
Mm-hmm.
again, which is awesome. And this time around, after my international travels, we are still making the podcast, unlike last time where
Yes, true.
it spawned a little bit of like a couple month break or something like that.
Yeah,
But nope, happy to be here, happy to be back.
yeah.
How are you?
Um, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I've been, I'm doing a little experiment this week, and by this week I mean just yesterday, but probably more today. I'm finally letting myself work on just whatever I want. Basically, I'm gonna try and time box it to just this week because I don't want to lose more time than that on getting like the main projects done. But I've been working on StarCraft for a while now, and the video before that I was also working on for several months. And I was like, all right, I don't want to delay. I don't want to put things off. So I'm going to really make myself stick to these projects, no side things or whatever. Um, I think that's been good, but my my efficiency on StarCraft, the work hasn't felt as efficient as it could be. And last week I was doing a little writing and I was like, I think one of the problems here is that the quote unquote director of this video is me from the past. It's like me from almost a year ago. Um, but the thing is that like I can't just try and conjure my vision for this video from like very old memories. I need to be the director now too, um, because when you're doing like creative work, there's no definite end state. You just have to kind of look at it and be like, okay, I think that's good. I think that's done, and that's like part of what the role of the director is. So I was like, all right, I need to be a director again. I need the director to come back into this project, but like I can't force my eye to be back. Um, but it reminded me the for the first part of the StarCraft series, I kind of tapered off for a little bit, but then I worked on something I just wanted to work on for fun. And I remember when I came back to StarCraft, my like eye, quote unquote, was much sharper, and I felt like I could
Hmm.
move so much more quickly because I was just like, yeah, this is what I want. And then I got there, I'm like, I know this clearly, and then I was able to move fast. And I think lately the work has been The easiest work to do so far on part two has been work that is tedious and doesn't require me to think very creatively, which is fine, maybe not the best spot. Also, it's getting so sunny. I don't want to be too fourth wall breaking. I'm curious how the color turns out, but I'm worried the image is gonna get washed out. But it'll be fine. That's a side thing. But yeah, so I was like, all right, this week can be an experiment because I always have video ideas that I want to work on, but then I choose not to because I'm trying to protect my time because it's so easy to get sidetracked. But I decided to cave. I'm doing a little, I guess you could call it like a music video edit. Have you heard the song Million Dollar Baby?
Is that by Gex?
No,
No,
that's
sorry,
another
I'm
one.
thinking
Yeah,
of Hollywood Baby.
that's Hollywood Baby. This is like a viral. Let me actually just pull up on my phone. We can do the thing where I like play my phone speaker into the mic, and you get the kind of like shitty but raw, like, oh yeah, this is a phone mic experience on the podcast. Here. This one. Let me skip to the chorus. Can you hear that?
No,
No.
not over Discord.
Yeah,
at
it's
least.
probably Discord filtering it out. Well, I'll play for the listeners.
I'll listen on my own.
Yeah. It's a catchy little song. I saw it on TikTok, and in the past I've always been like, oh, I don't want to like ride trends. I don't know. I'm just because I have this like it's not good, but it's like this hipster mentality that I've had like for most of my life where I just like things that aren't popular. I don't dislike things that are popular, but like for my own output and stuff, I'm like, oh, I don't want to do something that's like already trendy. I want to do something that nobody's heard of, which is a very artificial barrier, to be clear. I don't think that's actually a good way of seeing things. Like you should do stuff on your own, but you should not avoid doing things just because they're popular. But I was like, okay, I like this song. I have this idea for an edit, a music video edit that could actually be pretty cool. So yesterday I started working on that. I was cooking on it. I was super hyper focused. I worked on it for like, I don't know, maybe like 6, 7 hours of like I was so hyper focused. I did not do pomodoros. But I definitely worked like a lot on task. So I'm hoping that that video turns out nicely by the end of the week. I'm pretty happy with it so far. And hopefully when I come
Oh,
back to
that's
StarCraft,
awesome.
my eye will be good. Um, so yeah, that's how I'm doing. Richard, I hear word on the street is that you've been cooking up a story for us based on our your travels. Perhaps a cooking story. You've been cooking up a cooking story. Would you like to regale us with stories from your adventures?
Yes. So I came back from a 2 week trip. My first week was in Morocco, which was really cool, and my second week was in Italy, where we did a cooking class. And I've done a lot of cooking classes. They're one of my favorite ways to kind of just like when I go somewhere, you go on like Get Your Guide or Viator or somewhere and like
Can I ask?
the,
You
yeah.
already cook a lot. When you
hmm
take cooking classes, if it's like a one-off thing, presumably they're trying to cast a wide net. It's for like anybody. Do you feel like you learn very much from like those kinds of cooking classes since you already cook on your own so much?
So I think I do because even if what they're explicitly teaching is basic, in a typical cooking class, like I'll still be watching them and seeing what they're doing,
Mm,
and I have enough knowledge. Like in a lot of cooking classes, they'll give you a very limited scope of work, um, but like once they can tell you know what you're doing, or like like you can like ask them what they're doing, they'll oftentimes invite you to like help out and stuff like
mm,
that.
mm.
Slash, I can just watch them just like I see what ingredients are there and I kind of like I get to think about okay, how would they based on the ingredients I see there, how would I prepare that if I had them? And then it's really interesting seeing the steps and choices that they do.
Right, right.
Um and a lot of the benefit too is like when it comes to cooking and stuff, you really get a cool insight into the culture, especially like local dishes and ingredients like are a function of like the economy, they're a function of like what resources they have in that land and like the people's likes and interests. And there's this whole argument on like this food shaped people shaped food. Like it's kind of like a chicken and egg thing.
Yeah,
Like it
yeah,
all
yeah.
like works with each other. But I think it's super interesting. Anyways, this particular cooking class, it was supposed to be for just 2 hours, and we go there and we talk to the chef. We get a tour of like the herb garden, and then we make some homemade pasta and like pasta sauce and like prepare some meat and stuff. And then we have like a 2 or 3 course pasta meal. Um, so this was like, I think they were kind of just throwing the whole thing together, but I wasn't like really that mad about it. So
Sorry, what was
when we
that? It
get,
wasn't very.
oh, they were kind of just throwing the whole thing together as it was going on.
I see. I
Like
see. Yeah, yeah.
it was kind of, so when we get there, the chef just like, his name's Chef Luigi. He's kind of got this childish, hyper sarcastic demeanor, which I think for a lot of people would probably be like not loved. But for me, I honestly, I really loved it. He was like kind of a jerk. Like it was great. So
Dude,
when we
not
get
Chef
there,
Luigi the jerk.
yeah. So we get there, and then the first thing he does is he makes us sit down, and he just like has like his like side chefs, because this is also a restaurant. It's like a full service restaurant, which is interesting, but they're not open yet for like general public. But he has his chefs like scramble, and they dump a bunch of flour on the table, and then he's like, and so once the flour is laid out, he goes up to us, and he's like, all right, you're ready now. So we go back there, and he just like is like kind of putting the flour into like little piles individually for each member there. And we drop in 3 eggs, and he's like, you have to crack these one-handed, and if you don't, then you're just bad. And so I cracked my eggs one-handed just fine, but other people weren't, and he was just like,
Oh man, I gotta
was just
start
like,
cracking
no,
my
no.
eggs one-handed. I always do it with two hands.
It's fine. I actually like I saw this trick I saw on TikTok where if you drop your eggs from like at least like a foot high, they actually split perfectly down and they don't have any breakage. It's crazy.
What, you just drop it on the table?
Yeah, you just drop it and then they break. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm so
hold
skeptical, but like I believe you, but I'm so like
No,
in my mind I
it
cannot
works.
conjure it.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah. So I was like, okay, now's not the time for me to be doing this. I got to like impress Chef Luigi.
Is it just dropping the egg 1 foot from the air in front of Chef
I don't think
Luigi?
he'd like that. Yeah. But so we're there, and we start working the pasta dough, and I don't know. It's really hard. Like I've never made fresh pasta dough before, but the key is like as you keep working it, it develops a lot of gluten, and it actually becomes like too hard to work on. So like it gets too like you should only work it a little bit before you have to like start like massaging it. It's like there's a ton of technique. I have very little experience working with dough. And so Chef Luigi keeps telling me to fold the pasta dough, and it's getting harder and harder. And he's like, no, keep folding. And then when he touches it, he's like, this is way too hard. What are you doing? And like by this point, like my traps like genuinely like hurt because I'm pushing down on this thing that's becoming exponentially harder and harder to work with.
Yeah.
And for the other people who he's been giving a lot more attention to, all their pasta dough is coming out like immaculate. Like it looks so nice. And he's like gesturing to them, and he's like, see, this is what good pasta dough looks like. And I'm like, okay, whatever. He's like, he's like, he's all doing this in a joking tone, and I was taking it as such. And like, he was genuinely like, he was like a nice guy.
Yeah.
But like, I just was like, man, like, surely other people have complained about this. Like, so it's fine. It's fine. And then after that, I'm like ready to like start like doing something with the pasta dough, turning it into like raviolis, like pappardelle,
Uh-huh.
and like, or at least like work on some meat or see how he makes the sauce. And he's like, oh, no, 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 we're not doing any of that. Like, you guys are going to go down and drink wine now. And we're like, huh? So we go down to their wine cellar and they just keep giving us bottle after bottle of wine. So everyone's like pretty like drunk, like, or at least buzzed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they keep giving us like very nice cheeses and like food for like they gave us like a smoked salmon like tartare.
Ooh.
Like we're having pairings with all the wine. They're showing us how to like uncork wine and stuff. And I'm like at this point I'm like, okay, like I'm not gonna learn anything about cooking, so may as well just
Yeah,
like
yeah, just
have
enjoy
fun.
the food they're giving you.
And at this point now, it's like 2.5 hours in, so the cooking class is allegedly over. But then they leave us down there with like 3 different bottles of wine, and we just like keep just, I don't know, we're just drinking and just like shooting the breeze. And then after an hour, they come grab us and they're like, okay, come upstairs, it's dinner time. We go upstairs, it's now a fully packed restaurant. And there's like full service going on, and we're just all sat at a table. We wait for like an hour, and because it's Italy, they start off with like this beautiful salad, and it's like, oh yeah, that's Mama's salad. And I'm like, Mama? And he points into the kitchen, and there's this like very old woman that's like got her hands in like assembling these beautiful, intricate, delicate salads, and I'm like, oh, that rocks.
That's Mama.
And yeah, that's Mama's yeah. And but then the issue is after the salad, they just keep refilling wine. We don't get any food, and then out of nowhere, like 6 different pasta dishes come out over like, and then we're just all like, what? And then so it was really nice and it was really enjoyable, but it was not at all a cooking class.
Yeah.
It was like it was like a workout followed by getting you drunk, followed by like a really lengthy dinner service because they had no obligation for the tip and like you had already paid for everything, right?
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
everyone else got priority in being served before us and off of like their full menu. So we were like, we weren't upset because like we got a lot of wine, but we were just like, what? Oh, and then at the end, he gives us cooking certificates and he's like, if you buy my cookbook, I'll give you a higher score because in the top left corner, there's a section for the score.
They
Man,
gave you scores.
So the scores are also totally arbitrary. Like the people I was there with, one who like actually did like a really good job, my brother, Luigi failed him. He gave him like a 64. He's like, you don't even get bronze. Because I was being really nice to Chef Luigi, he gave me an 81, and he's like, "Yeah, you got a silver,
but
but
you
you."
100-point scale. That's very granular.
The highest score he gave was to my mom, and he gave her a 91. And he was like, "You made the red pasta, right?" And she was like, "No, I made the green one." And he's like, it doesn't matter."
I
My
like this
brother was so
vibe-based cooking
upset.
score.
He was like, "I failed the cooking class."
Wow, that's so
So
funny.
yeah, that was that was definitely a highlight. I honestly do not know how they're in business. Like, surely that's like so like high variance, but it worked out perfectly for me. I was just in. Oh yeah, the whole thing ended up lasting a total of 6 hours. So
my
we got there at 4 and we
God.
left at 10. Yeah.
That is so long. I'm trying the entire time we're telling this story, I'm trying to like classify what you even did in my head. Cause you're right, that's not a cooking class. But I'm
No,
like,
it was like 3 hours of waiting, like
yeah.
between
I
everything.
mean, I guess the logical explanation is just that like they want to do this cooking class thing. They're not really prepared to do this cooking class thing. So they like try and do it and they're like, oh, like we're not going to take them all the way to the end of the dish. That'll take way too long. So then they're just like,
Yeah.
all right, butter them up and then feed them, I guess.
But the only part that we did that was actually defined as cooking was like working with pasta dough, and he ended up just like throwing away half of it anyway.
Right, to just use his own.
Yeah, and I was just like, So what did I actually contribute to this dish? And I realized like I don't think anything. And maybe I'm just spoiled because on my Asia trip and stuff, like everything was just like, okay, you dice veggies, you mix the sauce, and then you stir fry it all together a lot of times. Like food comes together a lot more quickly,
Yeah,
at
yeah, yeah.
least for cooking classes. But I'm like, surely there are Italian dishes that you can make in like 20, 30 minutes that are
Yeah.
good for
Oh,
groups.
there's gotta be, or at least there should be some staged way of doing it where like you do like I guess technically you did one part of the process, but it feels so far removed from the final result
Yeah.
that it's like not really cooking. Maybe there's two kinds of cooking classes. There's probably cooking classes where people just want to feel like they've participated in the food being made,
Yeah.
and there's cooking classes where people actually want to learn how to make the food, right? Um, I mean, I guess you were very squarely in the first. Like, did you look up reviews or anything?
Yep.
I'm curious what the sentiment is towards.
Yeah, it's actually very highly reviewed, but I am assuming I was in like a kind of nicer area of Italy, and I'm assuming it's just people that wanted to like participate.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just
Like
get a
um
authentic
but
vibe.
it's just funny because if it's participation based, he failed a couple of us. Like
Yeah.
the whole thing was so misaligned. I loved it. It was awesome.
Yeah, there's a funny idea to like my work wasn't even in the end result, but you're gonna evaluate me anyways. Yeah, that's so funny.
um and then the other thing was I also got the chance to go to the Morocco in the city of Casablanca. I went to the McDonald's because I had an
Mm.
hour and a half layover in a train station.
Yes, yes.
And that also got me thinking because I was visiting r/travel the other day, and one of their top posts of the month was McDonald's in the USA is not even close to being the best McDonald's
Mm-hmm.
out there.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting because you'd figure if it's close to the source, it
Yeah,
should be.
it's gotta be the
But
best.
it's not. And like you lived abroad, I lived abroad. Like McDonald's in Italy, my brother went in there, and like McDonald's in Spain too when I was abroad. Like oh, in all of Asia, of course, but in Europe especially, they have amazing cafes, like very nice, like grab and go cafes. They brew real espresso shots,
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
like, and they'll do latte art in your thing. Like at McDonald's, they like you're lucky if they have like donuts or stuff like that. Like there's none of that. And then in Asia, all the super cool like specialty foods and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
burgers and stuff like that. Oh, it was so good.
Asian McDonald's is probably top tier, honestly.
Yeah, it has to
Um,
be.
yeah, I freaking I this is I don't I'm curious actually what people think about this if it's a cringe so to speak, cringe as they say or not. But I always try to go to McDonald's if I'm in another country. I'm like if I'm in another country, I want to go to McDonald's because I want to see what's different. Um, because there's often a lot of differences. Singaporean McDonald's, ooh,
Oh,
Singaporean McDonald's is S tier. I lived in Singapore. I know that shit's good. And Asian McDonald's always has McDelivery too, which like predated Uber Eats or any of like the delivery food that exists in the US. And that stuff is always really cheap and like shockingly fast. Like in Singapore it's like $2 or something. And Singapore is not even like a low cost of living Asian country. It's like stuff is decent. Like I don't know exactly where Singapore is. I'd imagine it's a little bit above like the average U.S. city in terms of cost of living.
mm,
Um,
yeah.
but the delivery is so
But the
cheap.
oh
Um,
yeah, and in the fast food there is pretty affordable, and the food halls there are known for all being like $5-ish for like a full
that's
meal
true. Yeah,
with
the
vegetables,
hawkers
meat,
in
and
Singapore are
carbs.
very affordable. It's something I did miss when I came back here. It's like the like granularities of affordability aren't the same in the US. Like there's kind of this high floor for eating food that you didn't prepare on your own, like living in America, I feel. there's always this threshold of like you're gonna spend like nowadays it's like if you want to buy any kind of lunch, it's gonna be like $10 plus anywhere you go. If you're gonna have like more than just an entree, but even often like the entree will get you close there. There's no like cheap food option. It does not exist in America. Um,
Yep.
yeah. Oh man, I wasn't gonna. Oh, the McDonald's headquarters is in Chicago, right? So they have the public McDonald's. What do they call it? There's a name for it. The global McDonald's or something.
Global McDonald's, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They
Did
they
you
were
did you
they
go
were
to that?
people on the travel thread were talking about
Oh
that,
yeah,
but they
yeah.
were saying they were like a little bit underwhelmed with it. Like it could offer a lot more than it currently does, is what
Yeah.
I is was the impression I got.
Have you because you've been to Chicago, have you been to that McDonald's?
I did not go to the Global
Okay.
McDonald's,
It's
no.
so what they do is it's a rotating menu. So they will have like usually it's maybe like 3 or 4 countries. They'll have like one item from like 3 or 4 non-North American countries, which is cool if you go multiple times, but if you only go once, it's pretty restrictive because if you go and there's not a good menu, it's like you're like, okay, cool, I guess I can try like this dessert from Spain or something, but like you're not going to get any fun funky stuff. And I will say they don't I've never seen more out there menu items on the rotating menu. It's usually just
Hmm.
like burgers, different desserts. I don't know if it's placebo or not, but I do perceive the food at that McDonald's to be of higher quality than an average American McDonald's though. Like I went there with my girlfriend. We got a Hainanese, which is just which basically just means Singaporean for people who don't know. Chicken sandwich. That was one of the things on the menu because we were in the area. And the chicken was way too good for McDonald's chicken. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm actually pretty impressed by this because I'm a huge chicken sandwich enjoyer. Looks like you had something you wanted to say, Rich.
No, I was gonna say that's super in line with my experience of McDonald's Singapore and McDonald's Malaysia. In
Mm-hmm.
McDonald's Malaysia, I had one of the best like chicken sandwiches, like literally just of my life, just
Yeah.
like in general. And in the back of my head, I was like, okay, am I just enjoying this because it's like the flavors I like, but like a little bit different, like a fun. It was called like the it's not the McCrispy. I think it's like the McSpicy or something. And
Yeah.
I was looking at the travel thread, and one of the top voted comments was like, "Yo, the McDonald's Malaysia chicken sandwiches are legitimately
Mm.
some of the best I've ever
They
had."
know.
And then the
Yeah.
comments below were like in Singapore too. And I was like, those were the first two countries I visited when I visited Asia. So I wasn't sure. Like, I was like, was I gaslighting myself? Because so much of travel is so much the environment you're in. But if there are people that are also backing me up, I'm like, okay, then yeah, no, those are legitimately good sandwiches.
Yeah.
Yeah. I almost never get like the specialty burger when I'm in another country unless it's drastically different. For me, the better appeal is like the chicken sandwich, especially in
Mm-hmm.
Singapore and Malaysia where they actually make it legitimately spicy too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's more pop. Man, oh, I love they used to have this like lychee soda you could get at they maybe still have it. I haven't been in a bit. And then when I was a kid, like it's probably like 15 years ago or something, they briefly did a promotion um where they had like these like seasoning packets you could add to your chicken nuggets and fries. You know, you put it in a bag and then you pour the seasoning in and you shake it up. They had this in America so freaking briefly at like Burger King or something. I think it was Burger King had this
Mm.
when we were like very young, maybe like 8 years old or something, where you got seasoning, you put it in something and you shook it up and then you got this seasoned food. Um, I I love putting chicken and potatoes some combination of the two into a bag and then adding seasoning and shaking it up. That is one of my favorite fast food archetypes of all time. And for some reason, it is so weirdly, exceedingly rare. Like it's not a thing in the U.S. and it is a thing in Asia. Last time I was like in Southeast Asia, I got something like that, and I'm sure next time I go, I'll find it. But like, are people not as obsessed with this type? Have you ever had this? Have you ever had chicken and potatoes, any kind of potato in a bag, usually fries? Um, it's so good. I remember in Singapore,
Yeah.
I used to have some uh extra packets, like the seasoning packets. I'd have leftovers, and then I'd make popcorn, and then I'd put the popcorn in a bag with the seasoning and shake it up, and that popcorn was so freaking good. Is delicious.
I don't want to like generalize or like just like talk about stereotypes because
Uh,
everything's so different. But I do feel like in America, so much more of the focus, like I've met a lot of my friends whose reaction to Korean barbecue is, "Oh, so I have to cook it myself." I imagine in America, there's kind of this culture of like food just being what you eat on the go, or it's
hmm,
kind of a background
that's
thing.
true.
Uh, and it's not always the case, of course, but like I think for fast food, people don't like the idea of having to do more work. Like, and it's a bummer because I agree. I think it's really fun. I get a little participation trophy and be like, I helped make this food my own. And as someone who also enjoys like heterogeneity, like it's nice because you can like use variable amounts of seasoning, or
Yeah,
you
yeah.
go to like one of my favorite spots I ever ate at. You told me to go here was Pepper Lunch in
Oh,
Singapore.
yes. I was gonna bring up pepper lunch. Pepper lunch fucking rocks.
Which is like that, like kind of, but like on steroids. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
they give you a sizzling plate and you get to pick like they put rice and corn in the middle, and then you get to choose your meats that are raw. They go on the plate, and you cook it yourself, and then you get to mix it all together with your choice of sauces. So there's probably like 10 million different ways you can get food at Pepper Lunch. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah, because it's just meat and rice and then a bunch of different curries, um, and other kinds of sauces. Oh man, there's the only pepper lunches in the U.S. unless they've updated the map is like there's like a couple locations in California. Otherwise, all the pepper lunches aren't. Where did you go to pepper lunch? Was it in Malaysia? Was it
It was in Singapore. It
Singapore?
was
Yeah,
after I got lost in some like super deep mall, and I had like it was legitimately
you're probably
hard
in
to
Orchard
find
or
the Pepper
something.
Lunch. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
it was an Icon or
yeah,
Ion
yeah. A lot
Orchard
of
or
the
whatever.
malls in
Yeah.
Orchard are connected underground, so you can be in a giant mall and then accidentally wander into another giant mall. um,
Yeah, it was yes, it was Iron Orchard because I remember yeah, it had that big plaza in front of it and one of the buildings looked vaguely phallic. Like it looked like balls and then a big shaft.
did
Yeah.
did you see
Okay,
the
yep,
red
just
light
looked it up.
district when you were in Singapore?
I did not, but isn't it like decriminalized there or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like
The
that?
prostitution's decriminalized, and so you see them. They're near that area. They're near the Orchard area, kind of like on the more outer fringe of the neighborhood, but still like within like the city. I mean, everywhere is the city in Singapore.
It's the
Um,
city, yeah.
but dude, when I was living there, it took me so long to properly register that that's what was going on there as a teenager.
Right.
I remember I was at a restaurant with some friends one day. We were just eating dinner, and then um, like this third pairing of it's always the same. It was third pairing of like old white dude with like younger Asian woman, and I was like, man,
Mm.
like I see this so much in this area all the time. Like this dynamic is so common in Orchard. And then my friends were like looking at me, and I'm like, who's gonna tell them? I was like, what? And they're like, bro, those are hookers. That's those people are not dating. They're gonna go have sex somewhere in a hotel. And then they're like,
Oh
look, right
man.
across the street. That's where they are. And then you could see them just like standing on the street lined up. Um, uh, but yeah, they're like out of the way, but not hard to find if you look for them.
No, because this is by I definitely ran through that area. I'm looking at the map and I didn't even realize I did, which is
You
crazy.
probably saw a couple people with
I'm
prostitutes. Yeah.
sure, yeah, I'm sure I did. Singapore was my first stop, and I was only there for like 3 days, 2, 3 days. I was there for
Hmm.
3 days, and I had come off of like a 20-hour direct flight from San Francisco. So, like, I'm sure my brain missed a lot of details because it was just like, why did you do this to me?
Singapore is it's too much to do in just a couple of days too. There's just a lot. There's a lot, and then when you run out, there's nothing.
Nothing, yeah.
um,
I realized the steak and or not the steak and shake, the shake seasoning packets, they've got me thinking. It reminds me of there's this yogurt that has I think it's Chobani, where it has the toppings on the
no, no,
side, and then
it's
you combine it and shake
that's
it
not
up.
Chobani. It's
Is it not?
yo Yobi. That's not Yobi.
Yo plate?
Not Yoplait. You.
No. Look. It's called Chobani Flips. But I mean,
Oh,
no. There's yogurt that has the toppings in the cap too, which you see everywhere.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's done out of necessity, right? Though, because
Because
otherwise
you don't
the
want to get
toppings
weird
would
and
just
stuff.
get
Yeah,
yeah, the toppings would just become one with the yogurt.
yeah.
But yeah, no, that's actually fun. I legitimately get like a little spike of dopamine when I get to combine food and like into like its final form.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, there's multiple examples of this. There's one that's on the top of my head. It's like an Asian thing, I'm pretty sure. I'm thinking in the region of like Yakult. Um what is it? I don't remember. I love separate and then up to you to mix. It's one of my favorite genres of
Yeah,
food.
man. And there's also just like yeah, the yogurt, like the kids yogurt, it's like Danimals or whatever,
Uh-huh,
where
uh-huh.
it has two separate the Danimal swirls or whatever. Maybe I'm making this up, but I
Oh,
swear
that's
there's like
that
a
sounds
kids.
familiar. There's something
I
there.
feel like there's like a kids yogurt where there's two different colors and they're
Yeah.
swirled,
I don't know what it
and
is. It's something.
you're probably getting two slightly different versions of like cornstarch sugar yogurt, like just barely classified as yogurt, and it all
Yeah.
tastes the same, but like it's just nice. That's what, dude. That's why like gummy worms are nice too, because you're like, oh, different sides, different colors.
True, true. Dude, I love drinkable yogurt so much. I love Yakult. I fucking love
Mm.
Yakult. Whenever I'm in Asia, anywhere in Asia, Yakult's so much cheaper than the US. In the US, Yakult's like a premium product. Like a little like 5 mini Yakult case is always gonna be like $6, and you're paying like $1 per little guy. I down that in like 15 seconds. It's not worth it. But in Asia, it's so cheap. You can get big Yakults. You can just be sipping on
Mm.
those probiotics. And then
Apparently, oh, sorry,
oh
go on.
no, no, you're good. What's the other one? It's not. It's what's another drinkable yogurt that's a non-Western
Pulling it up.
lassi lass
Oh, or like kefir?
yeah
Or
kefir and
well, no, yeah. Lassi is it's the Indian one, right?
yeah
Because there's
lassi
like
and
mango lassi and stuff.
kefir, both of those are also fire.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nope. Yep. That is definitely a yogurt drink. Lassie's closer to like a smoothie. I feel like
Yeah, it's a
it's
little
still very
different.
good. It's still amazing though, and it is drinko. I mean, at the end of the day, its primary flavor is much more yogurty than any smoothie you'll get in America.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense. I really liked. It's like I had to look it up. It's you mix soju, Yakult, and Sprite
Yeah,
to make
yeah, yeah.
like this amazing cocktail.
Yeah, you could also throw some what is it called? Calico, the pink Asian drink. You
Mm,
know what I'm talking about? It comes in like a
I do.
square bottle. Um,
I don't remember the name.
yeah, yeah. That stuff is, oh my gosh. Those all of those food like soju, Yakult, um like Sprite or like lemony drinks, uh yogurty drink, all of that mixes so well together for mixed drinks. You can make some tasty tasty stuff. Oh
Totally.
man. Oh, we did a big food run there. We were
Yeah.
really on the food.
Well, I mean, it makes sense, but yeah, food is such an oh, it's not untapped. I just
We
80% of my interests are
yeah,
food. So
you
like when
you
it
like
comes up,
food a
I have a
lot,
million
and
things.
I also like consuming. I like we okay, like fast food and candy is increasingly becoming on trend. Is my perception of it. Like it's becoming
Yeah.
very mainstream to be tapped into like fast food and candy metas. We've been doing that since we like were in middle school. We've always been total um like food meta heads.
Yeah.
um I have this thing where if I go to a store and I want to buy candy, it's becoming less and less of a thing because I'm eating less and less candy because I need to eat less sugar.
Yeah, it
For
makes sense.
for like
Circle of life.
it's like everyone should eat less sugar, and then recently, not recently, but like 2 years ago or something, my parents were like, oh, by the way, like genetically based on like family like health reasons and stuff, uh from both from both sides of the family, like you should be particularly sensitive to not over consuming sugar. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like I have a total sweet tooth and this is like gonna slowly kill me. All right. But I have this thing where I always take forever to decide, even for normal snacks. For snacks, candy, fast food, I just will sit there and I'll just think, what do I want? Like how much do I want to pay? What like flavor palette do I am I trying to cover? And I didn't realize I had this habit until I was in college and I was like at the grocery store one day with somebody and we're like, all right, let's get some snacks. And we're at the snack aisle and I'm just, walking up and down, pacing, thinking. And the other person was like, okay, well, I'm ready to go. So, and I was like, oh, right. Like, sure, sure.
Like, what? This isn't normal. What I
Yeah,
have.
like,
They're the one that's more normal.
yeah, yeah. Richard, a couple years ago, we made a presentation where we created a snack flavor taxonomy for one of our friends and then strategically purchased a selection of snacks and candies that would get full coverage of all of the different like taste profiles, sweet and sour profiles. Chocolate is
We
different. It's like a
literally
different
we made
category.
we made a matrix and we
Yeah.
like tried to get every corner of the matrix represented. I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
that I still have the presentation, a celebration of the
Yeah,
tastes.
I showed someone that presentation a bit like a while back, and they were like, "Okay, this is you guys kind of cooking on this." we
Yeah.
spent we spent a couple hours on it, so
Yeah, that was awesome. And the best part about that gift was we all got to enjoy the candies
yeah,
afterwards.
yeah.
It was a
I thought it
shared.
was a really because we took so much time to think out every like use case that we'd want to enjoy. I actually felt like it was a very fortuitous selection. Have you seen the what's it called? It's like a candy salad trend thing. I started seeing these on TikTok kind of came
Yeah,
and went.
I have. I have. I know you're a mixer because I distinctly remember feeling betrayed by you when we were at camp or we were on a hike and we had Cool Ranch and spicy Doritos and you were like, "Oh, let's just consolidate and put them in the same bag." And I just remember my heart dropped. To be fair, back then I was a lot more of a picky eater and like
Yeah.
I didn't even like I didn't like specific foods touching on the plate. I was like annoying about it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm sure that the candy salad does that has to at least resonate with you a little bit, huh?
Yeah, the candy salad is what made me realize that um the nerd gummy clusters are really on the map because every
Mm-hmm.
candy salad video I saw there were always multiple people bringing in the Nerds gummy clusters. Dude,
Yeah.
you guys in particular were on top of that like day dot. Like the second that
Yeah.
that drop, you guys were like, because I'm this like we're the same way. When we see a brand new like candy archetype, we're like, all right, well, I just want to try it and see it if I like it. I
Mm-hmm.
constantly get like snacks, candies that I don't actually want that much. I just want to know what like the space looks like in that direction.
Totally.
Um,
I literally every time I'm at like a convenience store, I will look at the Reese's and see if they have a new variation or flavor out there.
yeah,
That
yeah,
was how I discovered the Reese's Fast Break, which I know has been a thing for a while.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
also used to love the Reese's like wafer sticks. They were like kind of like if like a Kit Kat
It's like
and
a
a
Kit Kat.
Reese's had
That
like
sounds
a
like that
baby.
sounds like a Dito Gold. Dito
Oh,
Gold's
they're really
like
good.
a Twix.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I want to try that Dito Gold. We'll drink the lactate beforehand
Yeah.
or the
Oh, dude, you if you're lactose intolerant, you gotta take a Okay, for people who don't know, Dito or Dido, I don't know what it is. It's a Turkish chocolate, and it tastes basically like if you took a Twix and mashed it with a Kit Kat, but also like the cream content is off the freaking charts. I ate one without taking lactase, and it destroyed my stomach. I was in so much pain. I didn't consider that you like when you eat chocolate, a lot of chocolate has dairy in it. So now I'm in the too scared to limit test myself zone where like I know that there's a certain tolerance I have for milk chocolate, but I'm too scared to test it. So even if I try a
Mm,
little bit of milk chocolate, I'll always have a lactase. Because of the
yeah,
Dio Gold, dude, it ruined me.
it's a good idea in life in general to always be using protection.
Yeah.
It's especially that analogy works especially well because I buy for travel single wrapped little lactate pills.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so it literally feels like I'm like when my friends are like, "What's that?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just taking off like the condom wrapper for my lactate pill." It literally serves
Do you
the
have the
same
circle
purpose.
chewable tablets or the cylindrical swallow pills?
I do the cylindrical swallow, but one of my friends taught me on this meta. He bites it in half and he bites it first with his first bite of food and then he swallows the other half. So he gets the instant act coverage on the first bite and
Interesting.
then he gets the delayed. I don't know if I don't know if that matters or not, but I'm just like, yeah, I guess that makes sense and it's kind of fun to like have a strategy and it's a ritual behind consuming dairy,
Yeah, yeah,
which
yeah,
is
yeah.
fun.
Giving it a little extra layer that's not just swallow a pill is definitely. And lactase pills are so interesting because even the swallow ones, like, it's actually not a big deal if you chew on it. It has like a. I don't know if there's actually any dairy properties in lactase that would make it taste like dairy, but I feel like I've tried a lot of different lactase brands, and they always have a similar flavor. I feel like just the chewable tablets usually have some like sugar or something in them that makes them a little
Mm,
sweet.
yeah.
Uh, but yeah. Um,
For one last thing around milk, or I guess technically it's milk adjacent. Oat milk. I've I've become a big fan of oat
I
milk
love oat
because
milk.
one of our very good friends got me hooked on the Starbucks shaken oat milk espresso.
Ooh.
And I love that because it's kind of like an espresso martini. What it is it's also really fun. It's they brew blonde espresso, so it's a little bit lighter.
Uh-huh.
And they put that in a metal shaker with ice. And they either put in brown sugar simple syrup or vanilla simple syrup, and then oat milk, and then they shake it up. And then they give it to you. And usually the drink isn't fully shaken, so you have a little bit of like homogeneity throughout the drink. I fully shake it up because I like a
Uh-huh.
consistent
Uh-huh.
sip. But like this is like I don't know if people view it as like a gimmicky drink or whatever. I think it might be referred to as like a shakerado or something. But I was just like I get made fun of it when I order it at Starbucks from my friends when I
Really?
explain what it is. But I was at a different coffee shop with similar friends, similar coffee snob adjacent friends, and I ordered the same thing, just not by those terms. I just had them do it for me. Like, it wasn't at a Starbucks. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, can I get like an espresso with ice, oat milk, and like mocha syrup? And my friends are like, oh, wow, that drink looks so nice. And I'm like, the dichotomy of
Because
man.
yeah, Starbucks is just not it's not cool, I guess. People where is Starbucks right now culturally? I feel like it's just it's like coasting. Is that what's going on? I haven't heard about Starbucks news in the mainstream for a while now. Um
Yeah, well, they were last in the news because they missed earnings a while ago, so coasting would probably be the right term, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh man. What was I gonna say? I had a thought there. Can't remember what it was. Um, okay, since we're talking about food and stuff, uh, I just want to bring this up because I want to know if I'm not alone. We talked about
Hmm.
this like a few weeks ago, I think. I can't remember what your answer is. I love videos of people throwing up.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what it is. It gives me a sensation that I have to assume is in the like ASMR class of sensation, you know, the oddly satisfying type of vibe. When I watch somebody throw up on video, it gives me a sensation of like first of all it's usually funny. Usually somebody posts a vomiting video on the internet because it's funny. Like if it was somebody like
Yeah,
going through terrible pain. I mean, I guess usually the person probably isn't very comfortable, but like if it was just misery, I wouldn't enjoy it very much. But it's
right,
usually they're
right.
throwing up in a funny situation. Like one of my favorite of all time is this video of these two people getting married, and then like the bridesmaid right next to the husband and groom. No, what is it? Bride and groom. They're like
Yeah.
in the middle of vows, and she just like projectile vomits like straight ahead of her. And then if you rewatch the video and like just pay attention to only her, you can see her like she's like going through it, and she's like, "All right, I got this. I got this. Oh, I don't got this. I don't got this." um, but I get that people think it's disgusting, but when I see it, I'm just like, this is the analogy I came up with last time we talked about it. I think for me, it's my pimple popping. I hate pimple popping videos. I think pimple popping videos are absolutely disgusting. Really struggle to watch them. Makes me so squeamish. But obviously, it's a very popular genre of video. A lot of people love watching pimple popping, and I think people vomiting is my pimple popping. Um, I don't remember where you stand on this, Rich. Though I'm assuming you think it's gross. That seems to be what most people think.
Uh, yeah, okay, so I like pimple popping, so like
Right.
but I'm not averse to people vomiting. I think like contextually, it doesn't ruin a funny video if I see someone vomit.
Uh huh.
And I would seek, I don't know if I'd seek it out. I think I enjoy it if I don't think too hard about it. If I imagine the stench, if I imagine like the smell, if I imagine the implications of vomiting, it starts to become like negative. But it's not like I would never like. It doesn't make my stomach churn. It doesn't
Okay.
provide a
Okay.
strong reaction. I'm just like mildly unpleasant. Like it ranges between mild. It has a low ceiling for me, but also the floor isn't like as low as other people's is, I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes well because I when I've talked to other people about it, they're like the reaction is I okay. I'll put it this way: I've never met someone who was also like, oh yeah, like I like watching people. I don't want to sound weird. It's just again, it's like my pimple popping. Like it's just satisfying. Like I saw a video. There was this like streamer challenge a while back where the idea was you're supposed to go to as many fast food restaurants as you can, and you're supposed to order what the person in front of you ordered, and you want to see how many restaurants you can hit. So the goal is like, what's your high score? Can you go to like 10 restaurants ordering what's in front of the people in front of you and eat everything? I watched one of those, and at the end, you know, they ate like, you know, there's like four people, they all ate like 5,000 calories, and at the end like two of them throw up, and while they're throwing up, they're kind of like leaning off camera. They're not the vomit isn't on screen because most like a lot of places like YouTube, Twitter, like a lot of media won't let you show people vomiting, or they'll put like a content warning or something if there's vomiting. Which, by the way, I think that's a double standard. I think pimple popping should get the exact same content warning. Um, but I remember this is when it clicked for me because they went off screen to vomit, and I felt disappointed that I didn't get a see. I was like, I wanted to see the yak because it sounded like a big hefty yak. um, but yeah, I don't seek it out, but it tickles my brain. It tickles my brain in a way. So if you're watching this and you feel the same way, please leave a comment. I don't expect anybody to leave a comment about this, but I just need to know I'm not alone in the world on this. uh, yeah. Um, that was a yeah. Any last thoughts on that?
No, just I guess today just ended up being the food themed
Yeah, the
episode.
food episode apparently. Um, Yeah, I've wanted to do explicitly food themed episodes where we like both try something, or I don't know. I don't know what the idea would be, but I think something like that could be fun. Maybe if we find an interesting food to try out.
Yeah, I we need another popular YouTuber to open up a ghost kitchen. We like Mr. Beast Burger's gone now, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we
yeah,
can't, and that's already kind of been played out. Like
yeah.
everyone knows it's just like Buca de Beppo making a shitty burger. Like
I think Buca de Beppo is probably even out of range of the Mr. Beast burger.
oh no no, I just mean that those are the kitchens they partnered with.
Oh,
Mr. Beast Burgers are based out of Buco de
wait, they
Beppo,
were in Buca
but
de
they have
Beppo's?
yeah, but they have their own people and their own ingredients.
I see.
Like
Oh, I see.
it's
They
like
use the kitchens of Buca de Beppo. I
Buco de
understand now.
Beppo, correct?
Got it,
Yes,
got it, got
yes,
it.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Ghost Kitchen.
Yeah.
It's shocking the amount of ghost kitchens on like Uber Eats and Postmates, and I always get so frustrated because like I've yet to have like a good one, and
Dude,
I'm sure good ones exist, but
I think I think ghost kitchens and stuff are a good example of like us discovering the limit of what people are willing to put up with when it comes to like this direction of service with like food delivery and everything. People do not fuck with ghost kitchens at all. No, like everybody hates ghost kitchens. It has a bad vibe. It has like it's just strictly lower quality because you're reducing like you're introducing disgusting amounts of variance into into an order, which is just not a good experience at all. Um, like go and the pricing is usually bad. Plus, you have to use food delivery to even access this food, and food delivery people aren't fucking with either, because it's expensive as hell.
yeah.
I think we saw like with ghost kitchens, we saw like companies and stuff test out like how far can we take it, and the unanimous consensus was like from the public was like, no, we don't like this at all. Like you better cut this shit out because I feel like the number of ghost kitchens is it got really big, right? They were all
Yeah.
over the apps, and I think everyone was like, "What is this? Like, this is actively making me not want to order food delivery." And I feel like they're reeling it back. Honestly, I haven't ordered food delivery in is genuinely it might be over a year since I've delivered food. Um, yeah,
Wow, respect. No, that's good.
I mean, it's not a
I
restraint
think
thing; it's just too expensive.
it is. I know it's so expensive. I order food delivery. I think I've ordered it maybe like 6 times in the past year, and every time I've ordered food delivery, it's because I've gotten like a 50% off coupon.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's never food that like is good enjoyed fresh. Like because if it's too because it doesn't hold up. Like so I will get like a great use case for me is there's a poke spot I really like, but it's like a 2.5 mile walk away. And for me, and it's like in a not a very good area for public transport. I don't own a car.
Yeah.
So like, it's like it's the perfect use case because poke is fine if you enjoy it like not
Yeah.
it doesn't like nothing in it is like really piping hot. Like it's honestly better when the rice is like a little bit cooled down and stuff. It's like the sushi rice like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and so that's perfect. But other than that, it's just like I'm just like I'll just go there. Like it's just not worth it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. Though I have used food delivery apps in the last year, but I always just pick up. But it's always when they have some kind of deal. Cause you I know you do these like 50% off deals and stuff because you always share the codes. And sometimes they're only for you, sometimes they work. But it'll just be like, oh sick, like this is basically like $15 for free or something if I just order 2 meals. Um yeah. All right. Good food episode. A lot of food chatter.
Pretty much
I think only food
entirely
chatter.
unplanned. Yeah. Yep.
All
Nice.
right.
Well,
Well,
it was a pleasure.
yeah, thanks for joining me today, Richard. Thanks for joining us
Hmm.
today, viewers. And any last thoughts? Anything cap off with?
Nope, all good. Oh, try out Nerds gummy clusters if you haven't, and
Yes.
opt for the red ones are good, but if you get sick of the red ones, switch to the blue ones, which are I think are better. Or I can't tell if I've just burned myself out on the red chewy Nerds
They're
gummy
both, yeah, I
clusters.
agree. That's an I was doing the calculus in my head of like which one is better. I'm actually not sure because your assessment is very accurate. There's no reason to avoid the reds, but switch to the blues at some point.
Yeah, you got to mix it up. You
Yeah.
can't. They're both hyper sweet. They're both just like slightly modified corn syrup and sugar, but they'll both bring you a lot of dopamine.
Yep. Yep. All right. Well, that's all we have for you today. Goodbye now.
Goodbye. No.